Hi everyone, I'm Tanaaz from foreverconscious.com and this is your weekly energy forecast for the week of March 2nd. Let's do a little recap of where we are. So last week we had that Pisces new moon. This new moon begins a new lunar cycle and opens a gateway into eclipse season. Eclipse season is always one of the most transformative points in a year. And in 2025, we have a a couple of very powerful eclipses. One coming up on March 13th, which is a blood moon eclipse. So we're moving into that space, that transformative, layers peeling back, things being revealed, things needing to be shed, realizations needing to happen. We're in that phase right now. That Pisces new moon that we had last week was opening the door for that phase. And we're going to feel it really all through the month of March and even into, I would say, May. I feel like the energies that we're experiencing now are just going to feel quite similar until we reach May, where we get some bigger energy shifts and we kind of get out of this transformative, layer peeling, reflecting mode that we're in right now, that the cosmic skies are revealing to us right now. And then once we get to May, we kind of shift out of all of that. So that's kind of our timeline of where we're at right now. And this week, while we are now in the eclipse portal, moving towards that sort of layer peeling transformative energy that I mentioned, we also have Venus retrograde. So Venus went retrograde on March 1st. Venus goes retrograde every 18 months or so. So it's not super common like a Mercury, which happens a few times a year, or even a lot of the other planets, at least once a year we get a retrograde. Venus is every, 1.5 years. So it is one of our more rarer retrogrades. And of course, Mars, we've been working with Mars retrograde for a while as well. And now Mars has just stationed direct. It's still in its what we call post-retrograde shadow, which means we're still working with those lessons. And now Venus is joining in too. When we reach that eclipse on the 13th, that blood moon eclipse, which is a full total lunar eclipse, Mercury will also go retrograde on the other side of that. So we've got Venus, we've got the eclipse, and then we've got Mercury going retrograde, kind of all back to back. What this is going to do, in essence, is create a slowdown effect. Yes, eclipses can be powerful. They can bring sudden events. They can sort of turn our lives upside down, but there's a slowing to it. We're processing this energy in a way that is perhaps a little bit slow and sluggish, and there's a real need to reflect on the past, to look back over things, to talk to people who have been there, done that. There's this real essence of reflection that's coming up with this energy too. It sort of feels slow, and we're being asked to integrate and really take our time with it, which can sometimes be nice and sometimes feel a little more challenging than it needs to. So this Venus retrograde, I'm going to focus on in the video this week because Mercury is not until on the other side of that eclipse. So let's talk about Venus retrograde because that's already happened. That happened on March 1st and we are now in the thick of it. So let's break down what we can expect, what it's bringing up for us, and I'll give you some dates so you can kind of create a little timeline for yourself. So Venus rules over our heart, our relationships, our reproductive health, and also money, namely profits and whether or not something is profitable. Venus also rules over, on a bigger scale, our values and the giving and receiving of love in our lives. How are we able to open to the feeling of love? How are we able to open to receiving love and giving love? And at its sort of essence, that's what Venus retrograde is about. It gets us to challenge rework, remaster, recalibrate the giving and receiving of love in our lives? How can we become more open? How can we protect ourselves more? For some of us, we'll need to practice a lot more self-love. Others of us will need to practice the receiving of love a little bit more. Maybe we're good at giving it, we're not so great at receiving it. So that'll just depend on where you're at in your level of consciousness and what's kind of going on for you in your life. Relationships usually, relationships that are no longer serving us, or relationships that are fueling old patterns of the giving and receiving of love that we're trying to break free of, can sometimes come up, be revealed to us. A higher truth can be revealed. We can start to realize that a certain relationship is perhaps not as equitable or, as great as we thought it was. We may have the opposite effect too. We may start to see, wow, actually, I really am into this person. I didn't think I was, but I really am. So we get these kind of realizations under a Venus retrograde. The same is true for our values, what we value, what we hold dear in our lives. And then also perhaps if we're involved in a venture or a job or we're starting a business, sometimes Venus retrograde can help us to see where we are perhaps not as profitable, where money is being lost. We may have gone into something and realized that it's just not making the kind of money that we thought it would. So that can also happen in a Venus retrograde. Venus is going to begin her retrograde, or she's already started her retrograde in Aries. This is one of the most challenging places for the goddess of love. She does find Aries a very challenging energy to be in. Aries is very about action and movement and moving forward. Venus is a very internal energy. She wants to flow. She wants to feel guided. Whereas Aries energy is a little bit more, you've got to make a decision, use your logical mind and move forward. That's a great energy too. But Venus struggles a little bit with that dynamic. So Venus in retrograde in Aries may feel a little bit challenging. We may feel that strong kind of masculine pull to make decisions and to take action. And then on the other side, we may feel, well, but I want to kind of go with the flow. I want to feel guided. I want to feel like I'm moving in alignment. And there can be a push-pull between those two places. And we can feel confused, a little unsure about what we where we want to go, what we want to do. So Venus will be in Aries until March 27th. And then after March 27th, it will dip back into Pisces. And this is how we finish the retrograde. The retrograde goes until, I think it's April 17th. And this is how we end the retrograde. And Venus in Pisces is a much more gentle, harmonious combination of energy. And when that happens, when Venus moves into Pisces, I think our retrograde journey will shift into a more internal place. It'll be more about self-love. It'll be more about kind of thinking about how we feel and where we want to come from, and then kind of presenting it to the world. It will feel very internal. Venus retrograde can be kind of subtle, it's sensitive, it works on a lot of our emotions. So Venus, especially in Pisces, may heighten our sensitivity, may have us feeling a little bit more vulnerable, and depending how vulnerability manifests for us, how we're able to handle that, it could bring up issues for us around that as well. So that's a little bit of a guide as to this energy. When we come out the other end of the Venus retrograde, which happens in mid-April, we're still going to be working with this post-shadow retrograde energy until May, early May. And then we are probably going to feel, or I hope, by the end of this retrograde come May, we're going to feel a sense of rebirth around our hearts. We're going to feel a sense of our values realigned to be more in tune with our true heart's desire. This is actually a very, very powerful time for heart healing, for accessing the wisdom of our heart, for doing energy healings, meditations centered around our heart space, our heart chakra. It's a great time to come to yourself and come to a truth that might be resonating in your heart that you have ignored or haven't wanted to look at. This is a very, very powerful time for heart healing. I will also say that because Venus also rules over reproductive health, so if you're struggling in that area, Venus retrograde can also be a great time to kind of navigate and bring healing to your reproductive health. So that in a nutshell, in an essence, is our Venus retrograde. There is this idea that sometimes relationships can fall away, past relationships can come back up. I wanted you to keep, I don't believe in like any blanket thing, like they say in don't get back with your ex and all that kind of stuff. But I think what we really want to think about is breaking the patterns that have created and blocked our hearts, made us feel stuck, put us in situations we don't want to be in, have lowered our energy. We want to break those patterns. We want to create relationships that fuel the best of us, that fuel us to be the best we can be, that feel harmonious and loving and supportive. That's what we all want, and that's what we should be aiming for. We want to break the patterns and the relationships that have kept us stuck in a lower vibration. And sometimes we have to kind of go through the lessons. We have to, work through it, especially if we notice patterns in our relationships coming up all the time. This is a good time to really look through that and to say, hey, I want to do it differently. Universe, guide me to do it differently. I'm ready to break this pattern. So you could even set a little intention about how you want this Venus retrograde to manifest for you, how you want your heart to open, how you want your heart to feel protected, and the boundaries that you want to create when it comes to your relationships, your values, all of that. I will also add in there March 22nd. Is a very, very powerful day in the Venus retrograde cycle. So there will be probably a lot of clues, a lot of culmination points, a lot of aha moments around what this Venus retrograde is bringing up for us as we get to that date. So Venus retrograde, here we are. It's leading us into this eclipse coming up in a few weeks. And then Mercury will also be joining in the retrograde energy. So really from now until May, we are moving through this very transformative, yet also reflective chapter. Transformation tends to push us into the future, into a new state of being. But then all this retrograde energy wants us to really reflect and pay attention to the past as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that all manifests in the days and weeks to come. So that is your energy for the week. I would say we're really at a point in our year where we want to be very gentle and loving with ourselves. We want to protect us energy and just really nourish and keep the channel of communication open with our hearts. I'm now going to pull a card from my deck, the Cosmic Astrology Oracle. I've had a lot of people reach out asking when are they going to be available. I don't know. I hope soon. Maybe I can blame the retrograde energy. I ordered them in January, hoping I would have it by March, end of Feb, but that does not look like the case. So bear with me. They are delayed, and I'm hoping to get my hands on them soon. But I'm going to shuffle up the deck and we'll pull a card. I'm just setting an intention for the most supportive card for us as we journey through this eclipse portal, this Venus retrograde energy, everything we've got coming up, all these big energies are. I'm going to take this one. Regulus. Okay, this is one of our royal stars, Regulus. Heart of the Lion. You know, it's funny that this card has come up, or maybe it's not funny, it's just a beautiful coincidence, because this is a very heart-centered, heart-driven card. It's known as the Heart of the Lion, because it used to fall in Leo season when the sun would align with Regulus. Now it happens in Virgo, but let's take a look at the energy of Regulus, the Heart of the Lion, accessing that beautiful, abundant, brave Heart of the Lion energy. This is a really nice card. Regulus is one of our 4 royal stars. It's known as the Heart of the Lion. It is considered the star of royalty, success, and wealth. Its energy can support our highest passions, dreams, and ambitions. You know, this just kind of makes me think even more that the universe is saying to us, set your intentions for this Venus retrograde. Set your intentions for this eclipse energy. You can have a say. You have the power to hold space for whatever it is that you want to hold space for. Access that power. You know, when we hear about eclipses, it can be a little bit daunting, a little bit scary. If you follow the cycles of astrology, you may start to notice that crazy things happen in your life around an eclipse, or they bring sort of events that are not always the most pleasant. You take back your power. Use these powerful portals of energy and retrogrades to set intentions for how you would like to show up, how you would like to hold space. That is, I feel like, what this card is telling us. If you are looking to attract more wealth, launch a business idea, or wondering if something is going to be successful, this card is a positive omen. Regulus is a power star, so put yourself out there, take that leap of faith, and go for your goals, because success is likely to follow. The future is bright, so keep the faith. As the Heart of the Lion, this card is also about finding your courage and knowing that you have the skills and talent and wisdom to get where you want to be. Give yourself a push, be daring, and believe you can succeed. Regulus is also connected, or Regulus can also activate our crown chakra, helping you to feel connected to higher realms and led by a higher power. Listen to your instincts, follow the signs of the universe, and allow yourself to be guided by your divine connection. This is a very energetically sensitive time. The fabric of our energy grid is very sensitive, which means it's easily manipulated. So really, this is a good time to imprint our beautiful energies onto the world, onto our lives, onto, you know, what we want to create and manifest. And our ability to connect with our spirit guides, our higher selves, God, the universe, whatever you resonate with, is also very high as well. Some additional meanings of this card: your hard work will pay off. Go for your goals and dreams. Abundance and success are surround you now. Own your power. Connect with your heart's desire. Strengthen your divine connection. Think more optimistically about your situation. The universe is saying yes. And work from a place of heart, not ego, which is also great advice with Venus retrograde in Aries, because Aries can fuel our ego a little bit. So really coming back to the heart and the truth of our hearts. All right, I think I've spoken enough. That is your energy for the week. I want to share with you that I have a article up on foreverconscious.com all about Venus retrograde, but if you want to dive in deeper, your Venus retrograde horoscopes are also available. It's a downloadable report, so check that out. I'll drop a link in the description box below if you want to see how this Venus retrograde is going to manifest more specifically for you. You can read for your sun and rising sign to get the most out of that. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I always read them, even though I don't get a chance to reply. And you can follow along at foreverconscious.com on Instagram. I'm pretty active over there too. And I'll see you all next week. I'm Tanaaz from foreverconscious.com. Thank you so much.